Right, we're on. Searley set a 6 off the back of a Warriors win, our 6th win in the row. Jeez, is it nice to say that, of course, comfortably sitting in second on the ladder. A lip licker of a contest this weekend up against the Panthers. Can't wait for that. I'm going to be there. I've said that about 15 times over the last 2 weeks.
Say it again.
But I am genuinely excited for that one because I think this is going to be a great measure as to where we're at the moment. And I do like our chances heading into. I think it's going to be a great contest. But first things first, let's review that win against the Dragons. A Dragons side too, which were pretty competitive against the Panthers, and geez, although they're extremely limited in their attack, I think you can't question their heart in this contest. In particular, in the first 40 minutes, they gave us a good run. We were far from our best, but we got the 2 points, and it sounds cliche. I know it's a phrase we've said a couple times as well, but I feel like come the end of the season, when you look back at the results across the year, a 30 points to 12 win over the Dragons in a wet, cold night in Cogra, it's probably a win you just bank.
Yeah, 100%. I thought it was a good performance. I think there's parts of it that we kind of expected. Like, we expected that it wasn't going to be all rosy and there was going to be a lot of points on 30 points, nothing to be annoyed about. 12 points defensively, we'll get onto that. That was also very good. But yeah, it's just 2 points banked and we can move on. But it's kind of the performance we expected, right?
Yeah, not one I got overly emotional about, but one I was satisfied with. The 6 biggest talking points from this game, we'll start with tackle 1, and that is basically that 2 points are 2 points. It wasn't the best night for our boys, but given the circumstances, the weather, we're missing Origin lads, the adversity in-game with the injuries and the adjustments we had to make to deal with those, the Dragons hungry to snap their win streak, I think this is literally just to move on from it and take the positives, take the negatives and the work-ons, because there were a few of those as well. But I think we're at about a 6.5 or maybe a 7 out of 10 in this game as a whole. Some good moments there, some not so good. I think the momentum swings in this game were actually quite big. I never felt like we were in any danger of losing this game though. Even when the Dragons scored first, I was always comfortable. When you look at the stats, it's pretty interesting. Like, we lost possession 53% to 47. We completed at only 70%. We're lucky the Dragons only completed at 69% and that their attack doesn't possess more threats. At the same time, our defense, though, in moments, we were so good. We lost the missed tackle count, which I found an interesting one, because my memory and watching this game back, I remember the positive defensive plays, not the little misses that we had. We lost the kick meters count. 495 in this game we finished on compared to our season average of 644. We had 15 errors, same as the Dragons, but a lot more than what we would normally have. We're averaging 10 a game so far this season. But still, when we created opportunities to score and when we used our defense to create opportunities to score, we made them count. And again, this is a Dragons team that, I don't know, pre-game, wet night, they were semi-impressive against the Panthers the week before. There was just a little bit of a danger factor about this game. So to operate at a 6.5, maybe 7 out of 10 and have some good moments, some pretty poor moments, but still win. I think we just take this one as Warriors fans.
Yeah, I think we do. Some of the stats are sort of interesting around the kick meters. I think the tackle breaks, we were one of the tackle breaks. Yeah, 100%. And the line breaks as well, 6-2. So there is some stats that go in the favour of the Dragons, but ultimately I never really thought we were going to lose this game. And I'm sure Webby said that he thought we played some of our best stuff, but then he also said there was some pretty average stuff in there too. So they're not getting ahead of themselves. And I got the sense that actually the whole feeling of the team was actually just, yeah, we got the 2 points. Let's move on. Yeah. We're not going to continue to talk about this for weeks to come, but yeah, it was solid.
It was kind of perfect that it was against the Dragons. I think against a lot of teams, if we dish up a 70% completion rate,
lose.
We're in a world of trouble.
Yep.
I think as Warriors fans in the past too, we are so used to seeing our team achieve a massive high against the Broncos, and it happened to us earlier in the season,
Tigers,
right?
Yeah.
Against the Tigers and then the Sharks, and then you watch them come down. So it's nice to just kind of stay up there and keep this 6-game streak alive. I think a loss against the Dragons heading into this weekend would have been a little bit of a disaster, and yes, it might have fired the lads up internally, and I'm sure they wouldn't have panicked, but we know the fan base would have panicked, and no one wants to be that team that dishes up the Dragons their first win to snap the streak. So I'm glad it wasn't us, because I feel like other fan bases
were waiting for it,
waiting to take the piss, and a lot of Aussie experts tipping out the Dragons in that one.
I don't actually see that, but that doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah, they were. They were like, geez, they were good against the Panthers. They're going to snap it
They
this
were,
week.
though.
And
I agree.
They were. That field at Cogra, pretty shit too. And I feel like we were harsh on Suncorp. I think the Cogra ground staff...
After one.
Yeah, they don't need to put their feet up either. They wouldn't be throwing any shade at Suncorp because, like you said, one game, and yes, it was wet, but that thing was digging up too. Looked like a shocking golf course, basically.
Yeah, it did. And I've seen a fair few of those in my time. But yeah, I thought it was a positive performance. It's something that we can build on. Nothing to really get too up about, and it's nothing too annoyed to. I'm not surprised that the Australian, they're just waiting. They're just kindly waiting. They're waiting for this RTS news, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just waiting for this little slip up, aren't they?
I love how a few of them last week are like, we're genuine contenders, and then there's still a couple that are like, nah.
I don't want them to say we're contenders.
I don't want them either. I don't want them on board now, unless they were on board at the start of the year, like your bloke in the bars and those guys, let's play on. But when it's NRL 360 and that, who just love to hate, don't want to know about it. One work on from this game, and it is my second tackle, is our kicking game and our fifth tackle options. For me, I thought our halves played really well. Tamare Martin, great again with his playmaking, his ball playing, his running. Defensively, really solid too. We lose nothing there. And I think both halves played pretty well in my opinion. But we lost the kicking battle, as I referenced. And in particular, our last tackle kicks. Pretty disappointing. Now, Tanner Boyd, this is right up his alley. He has steered our team around beautifully to start the competition. And I think this kind of highlights what we miss from not having a player like Tanner out there. Yes, Tamare is a whole lot more creative and more of a running threat, but what Tanner Boyd brings to the table is a great long and short kicking game. We're talking out of hand kicking here. We'll touch on the goal kicking shortly, which leaves a lot of room for improvement as well. But I think we saw Tamare at one stage try to get a hold of one, came off the side of the boot, out on the full. Unfortunate, right? But when you look at the stats, I mentioned 495 in this game. We've been averaging 644 this year. This was our second lowest total kick meters. Oh, sorry, our first lowest total kick meters. Our second lowest was round one, and our third lowest was against the Broncos last week when Tanner left the game early. So basically, two of our three lowest kick meter games have been without Tanner Boyd this year. And I think for big games, like the game coming up this weekend, we know Nathan Cleary, great long kicking game. I think you have to have a good long kicking game to beat the Panthers because their back three is so dangerous. That is a big work on for us, though. I do think Tamare and Chanel are capable as a duo of doing it. It just wasn't our night in tough conditions, but I think that and our fifth tackle kick options would have to be our biggest work-ons from this game, if we're being critical.
Is that something that you think comes with time in the jersey? Because Tamari obviously hasn't played a lot of football recently. Or is it something that we're just going to have to adjust to and figure out how we can actually make up those meters because of the way that these two halves play? Like, where do you think it is?
I think it's more the second one, to be honest. And when you look at a lot of half combinations throughout the competition, you look at a Munster and a Hughes, you look at a DCE and a Sammy Walker. One's got a long kicking game, one's got a good, accurate short kicking game. And we had that with Chanel and then with Tanner there. Tanner had both, but Chanel has a nice little short kicking game too. And he can get a hold of some nudges. He's probably got the bigger boot than Tamare, to be fair. So I think it's working out who actually is our fifth tackle kicker. But I also think having Tamare there brings us more strengths in terms of running the ball. And I think we've got the forward pack to get away with it, right? Because a lot of times our fifth tackle is in great field position. And it's actually our eighth or ninth tackle because of the amount of set restarts we get. So I think for other teams it would be a bigger problem. I just think come finals footy when it's a bit of an arm wrestle,
need it.
like a long kicking game can get you out of trouble. Lukey Met, not the longest boot either, but I feel like it was something that improved in his game last year. Jet Cleary, good boot. So we have options. I would still stick with these two. Of course, I'm not saying throw them out. I just think as a halves duo, working out who is going to be our big boot out of the two, and I feel like Chanel has that potential, is important. And then just nailing our short kicking opportunities. Twice we kicked the ball dead on the weekend, which was a little bit disappointing. So it's like, if we're not going to have that big boot, we need to nail every short kick opportunity that we get, because a lot of our points earlier in the season were coming off kicks and contesting as well.
Yeah, we're being critical here, and that's what we're here to do.
Yeah,
at times. No, it wasn't a bad performance, and no, that kicking wasn't awful. But what you're saying here is, and what I agree with, is that if our kicking's not going that well, or at least to an elite level when we're on the front foot against the Dragons, or last week, we didn't have that many kick meters against the Broncos either, but we were going exceptional going forward and we were ripping them to shreds otherwise in other areas, right? But it's when we're not going well, is it when we're going to need that long kicking game? And that's what you're talking about there. So I'm not worried about it right now, but in a game against the Panthers this week, in a finals game where it's tighter, it's not going to be as free running, that's when we're actually going to need it. Yeah. So I think it's important that we actually figure this out so that when it's not going well and maybe we're camped in our half a little bit more, we can actually get out easier.
And I think as well, like we have the weapons to mitigate it to the point where we can get away with a 7 out of 10 long kicking game. Like our forward pack, our defense now is outstanding and we're bashing teams and making them make mistakes so that we get the ball in good field position. But like you said there, if you take on a Cleary, even you look at like a Mitch Moses, right? Probably the biggest boot in the game. He gets Parramatta out of so much trouble just with his long kicking game. And once it comes a grind with the Penrith Panthers, and you're going set for set, and you're kicking the ball to a Brian To'o, a Dylan Edwards, like you need to hand the ball over in good field position and make them work from the backfield, and that's when it's really going to count. I do think they have potential within this too.
Just got to figure it out, eh?
It's just got to get to like a 7 out of 10, basically where we're kicking for over 600 metres a game. And I think it's more a balance thing and just working out, because neither of these two guys are dominant halves. And that was a positive we spoke about on the review last week, right? Is that they can both just chime in. None of them are ball hungry. But in a way, when it comes
doesn't
to
help.
Kicking game, someone needs to be that dominant boot. And I'm hoping it's Chanel because I think he has the bigger boot. But I think as well, if we're not going to have that, we just got to nail our shorter kicking game.
Which we didn't really on the weekend, which is what you're saying about the
exactly.
tackle
And
options,
a few of our kicks too were just kicks that were made great by a Jackson Ford who leads the kick chase every time. And when Capewell's there, he does the same. So our chase is really good, and that can turn it into a good nudge too. But we're just trying to nitpick here, and we're trying to see what we've lost with Tanner that we can work on in this halves combo. And I heard Tamaide say too, post-game, he was pretty filthy at their last tackle options. And it's good to have work-ons, and that's exactly what this is.
And Andrew Webster said after the game that Tamati's not learning on the job because he's an experienced player, but he hasn't played that much football, hasn't played that much seven with Chanel in recent years. So it's interesting to hear him sort of say that there's a lot of work-ons there, and actually there's parts to Tamati's game that he doesn't feel like is there just yet. Yep. So it's interesting to see whether it does improve in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, like we said, we're nitpicking here, but it's important because we're not going to play the Dragons in a finals game, are we? We're not going to be able to get away with something like that against Broncos come finals time against the Panthers. So it is important we talk about this.
Time in the saddle will help, and just more time for that Joe, more time for Tamaire on the park. He's coming off a broken foot as well, so I can't imagine he's done a whole lot of kicking. I wouldn't mind seeing, and we know Wade can kick, him perhaps bringing in a kick out of dummy half similar to what a Harry Grant does.
Reed Marnie.
Exactly. And I think Tane Tuopiki has a good boot on him too. And that could become an option as well, using someone like that.
But it's just 1 to 2 kicks a game. Like if we get a kick from Wade that gets 40 metres from inside the 40, you act like it's maybe a third tackle, get down the field, it adds 60 metres, 50 metres?
Yeah.
And then you get Tane maybe doing 1, and then all of a sudden we're an extra 100 metres, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard for opposition backfields to adjust to that too. So there's opportunities there. I think that is probably our biggest work on though. Goal kicking as well, 3 from 6. And yes, a lot of them were tries from the sideline. Tough conditions, so you give a bit of leeway there. I still think like Tane against the Broncos, 5 from 6 at Magic Round. He was kicking them great before he had that hip drop, which he then stopped goal kicking and Chanel took over. I was surprised. I thought Tane was probably going to kick this week. I think Adam Pompey will come back in the side now as a result of Roger being out, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes over the goal kicking too. Again, being nitpicky, but that is 6 points that come finals time,
you're going to need.
Which is a long way away. We are 15 rounds away from finals.
No doubt there'll be some comments.
Oh, there will be. Yep. We're not trying to win the comp now. 100% we're not. This is just a work on from this game. But I would like to see us... Yeah, I think Adam Pompey will take over the goal kicking too. Tough conditions though, so can be excused. Tackle 3, dealing with adversity and the impact of our bench. We lost Roger early, as I alluded to. On comes Eddie Iremaya Toiava for him. He unfortunately goes down with a nasty HIA. We lost Fish for a spell there as well. You could tell Wado wasn't right. Geez, I've never seen as aggressive of a hip stretching at halftime the physio, I don't know if you saw it, he was lying on the ground and he's basically like yanking at his hip.
Chiropractor.
It looked nasty, man. So he had a minute's lessened off the back of that. I thought Healy played really well, but it's not easy to adjust to things like that mid-game. Obviously, the six-man bench helps a lot, but when you look at it the last 2 weeks, we've lost a Roger, which caused a reshuffle. Then we lose a Tanner Boyd the week before, which caused a reshuffle as well. So it's good to see us be able to adjust in-game to losing key players, losing veterans, and it's still not rattling us. I think that highlights our on-field leadership, also the depth and versatility within not only our starting side but our bench as well. Like we moved Lecker to centre, Eddie into the second row, and on we marched. Then Eddie went down. That was no worries either. Aaron Clark just played more minutes. Fisher's load went up a little bit. Demi, Tanistowers, Smith off the bench, insane. I just feel like we are so balanced, and we reference this a bit too, the balance of our squad. But we have aggression, we have energy from our bench, we have leadership from there as well. We have this perfect mix of youth and experience and guys that can play multiple positions and have done so throughout their career, that it's not a crazy ask to say, Lecker, you're moving into centre here. He's literally done it in finals footy last year. And that makes us so dangerous too, because it just allows us to chuck on another of these young middles and let them go about their work.
It just adds confidence to the group. Like, I get the feeling that when something like that happens, you don't see heads go down, or you don't see anyone looking around going, where the heck am I playing? What am I doing? Or someone immediately shutting when they shouldn't be. You just get the sense that they've trained it. They know the messaging is clear from Webby and the coaching staff during the week that if this player goes down, bang. I think there was a couple of weeks ago when we've talked about this and Webby sort of said that there was no doubt about the messaging. Like they knew, and the players just went straight away, clicked into gear, knew exactly what they're doing. And we're actually seeing that come to fruition about how you're saying we're balanced, but it's a mindset thing too. Yeah. And I think that's what this group's got at the moment.
I will say gutted for Rog if that is the end of his Warriors career.
Which it sounds like it could be.
It sounds like it is. Man, like when you think of Roger, right, you just think some of the craziest footwork the game's ever seen. You think highlights, both on attack and defense, defensively, so underrated. I think of Dahlia medal winner. I think of one of the best Warriors to ever lace up the boots. Of course, won a premiership at the Chooks, played for the Kiwis, for Samoa, jumped across and played for the All Blacks, which is pretty unreal. But he has been one of my favourite players ever to watch lace up the boots at Mount Smart, and it's kind of gutting that if this is the way it goes as we're sitting second, a guy who has captained the club and so long wanted success, this is literally why he came back, to achieve this type of level of success at the club, for him to now not play a part on field would be pretty heartbreaking for a guy that I think deserves a ring at the Warriors.
Absolutely. Great servant to not only the Warriors, but the NRL. Like, in general, I saw a comment this morning on one of the reported things about his ACL injury that we don't know is true yet. By the time you listen to this, you might.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there was a comment and it said something about, wow, like growing up watching Roger at the Roosters and at the Warriors and through the international game, then the switch to Union, like you just said, is just crazy for fans of maybe your generation that have seen it for so long. Like, I'm a little bit younger, so I know sort of the younger generation of that. But yeah, it's just sad because great servant to the game, just works hard, always a great chat, always has been good speaking in the media, and just really sad if it's true.
I think a massive leader as well for the young Polynesian boys coming through the club. Obviously an inspiration to everyone in the team, but you always reference them. Him kind of paving the way for them and wanting to be like a Roger style of player for the Warriors. Man, some of the best footwork I've ever seen, and it's his ability to do it so close to the line and defenders, right? Like he can step off either foot and it's half a metre out from defenders and make them miss and look stupid. Like when I think feet, I think him, I think Ponga a little bit, but I think Benji, I think Sean, and I think him. And
100%.
I'd just be gutted for Roger. He is the nicest bloke and doesn't deserve to go out like this. It would be sad to see. Again, though, this is a depth piece, right? I believe Rocco Berry's set to be named for New South Wales Cup this week. He could come back into consideration. We've already mentioned Pompey. We've got Chance Nickel Klukstad, who is kind of the forgotten man at the moment, still out with that neck niggle, but he could come back into the centres too. So it's a big blow for our squad in terms of on-field leadership, but I feel like we've got that around him. It's more just a personal blow for Rog. And I think I was against the move for him to centre this year because I thought he was so good for us on the wing last year and his yardage carries, but shit as it worked. And I think him and Cam Pereira were such a nice combo.
Yeah, it is. I love especially the first couple of games when AKP came into the lineup. It was quite cool to see actually at work as well as it had straight away. Just quickly, what was Rogers' injury before? Was it shoulder?
Yeah, he had an AC joint, so it was nothing to do with
nothing to do with that. I was just making sure because I didn't want to be...
He wasn't really rushed back because you see those all the time,
you see the AC ones.
But how brutal would that be? 2 ACLs in 2 weeks to pretty key guys. Again, we referenced not many clubs could handle losing a 7.
Which we can, but it is getting to a point where there is a point where it actually could impact us big time. I'm not saying it is now.
I think almost for the Warriors, losing a middle hurts more in terms of... Our middles are elite, but I don't even want to say the words.
No, but I know what you mean.
If we lost a bloke wearing jersey 13
or 8,
I think that would be the biggest blow for us possible.
Yeah, agreed. But I just mean that right now it's at a point where we can deal with it, and I'm confident we can deal with it.
Yeah. Even the deepest squads have a breaking point.
But it's 1 or 2 away, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say more 2 than 1, depending who it is. But
correct. Depends who it is. Yep.
So fingers crossed with Rog, but all chat is that. It's not great, so tough pill to swallow for him personally, and wish him well in his recovery. And you're pretty gutted for Wakefield too, because they were so excited about that signing. And he's pretty much going to miss their whole season, right? Because he will be back this time next year.
What has happened with that contract? Is it how many? Is it a 2-year deal at Wakefield?
2-year deal, so they'll get one out of him. But that was their big marketing announcement.
That's awful.
That is a shocker. Jazz Tavanga will be gutted because he was stoked to have his boy Rog. Standout performers, tackle 4. Again, you could rattle off 10 or so, even though we weren't at our best, but there were some individual performances that kind of saved us throughout this game. I thought Tainto Piki was outstanding again at the back. Another example of why he is wearing the 1 jersey at the moment. 203 run meters, a try assist, a line break, 4 tackle breaks, 8 tackles, none missed. Good work defensively. Some of those carries he takes as well on kick returns. The way he starts our sets for us. He kind of goes hard at the start, then drifts across a little bit, often works a penalty out of a team for a head higher or something like that. He had a nice little line break there on a kick return that we should have turned into points too. Just a bit more attacking flair and X factor there. He set up Dell for his first try of the night too, just spinning out of contact, then a nice early ball to let Dallin do his thing. I think he just looks pretty silky, exciting, explosive out the back, and I think his speed has been a great addition to our spine.
We know he could do that. We knew he could do that. It was just about the haters, the Chans lovers or the Chans haters, whatever you want to call it, sort of understanding what he actually brings and seeing it in multiple weeks. And Webby couldn't talk more highly of him in the press conference. He's loving him. So, he's good form. He's in good form.
I mentioned the defense there too because that has been the biggest pro for Chans, and I still love Chans as a player, but a lot of it had been the chat around how good he is at organising a defensive line, which is a non-player. We don't know. His chat at the back.
We've talked about that,
But his efficiency in making tackles has gone up a big time. And he's always been fearless. It was just, at times, Chan's the bigger body, stacked up a little bit better, but I feel like Tane's worked defensively. Very rarely is he caught out of position.
Yeah, you don't really talk about his defence. It's never about his defence. It's more about what Chans does.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that actually the way we're going defensively is probably helping Tane at the back as well.
I think a big thing for him too, right? Like the boys will be so confident in his game now that that's a massive box tick. Who you go into battle with, you got to be confident. Dallin, 2 tries. We gave him our props last week, and good to see a lot of Warriors fans acknowledging that. I saw on TikTok a lot of people and YouTube, a lot of people saying, I was one of them. Good to see Dallin doing really well. I was nervous off the back of that he might not have a good game and then I'd get sprayed, but it aged well. 2 tries, 180 run meters, another intercept. Some tough carries, man. And on a wet, cold night in Cogra, there is not many wingers, and both our wingers did it, Loffy and Dell. They put their hands up, tackle 2, tackle 3, running into a set D-line. The Couchman brothers, Egan, Pacific Tonga, there's some hitters in there, and he didn't shy away. I also have noticed he's a lot quicker to get up and play the ball this year. And last year he copped a fair bit for kind of staying down and trying to extract penalties. A lot of them were penalties. But I feel like Dell's in his groove at the moment. He's feeling himself. He's an interesting one because he's a mutual option at the end of this year. a lot of Warriors fans starting to turn on Will Warbrick really quickly because his form hasn't been great at the Storm.
Oh, come on.
And we trust. Weeby will get the best out of him. The Storm have been playing average. So Wing has been playing average. That is not shock horror. But it'll be interesting to see what we do with this Dell thing and the mutual option because both parties have to want to be in. Dell looks pretty damn happy. I'd say the Warriors are pretty damn happy with Dell's form at the moment.
I'm not buying this Will Warbrick thing.
No.
I won't stand for it.
No. He's a quality player. And if you
Kiwis.
chucked him on the wing for us right now, he would be insane.
We'll not. We won't take that on the Searley Talk Sport podcast,
we're not.
Especially on the Searley set of six.
Yeah, we're big Warbrick guys. We're bricked up for Will. We are bricked up for Will.
What you said on Dell, it is interesting because I've loved Dell for a long time. I know exactly what he brings to the side. And this year, I feel like the defense, like we've talked about in recent weeks, has improved. I just still think I wouldn't. I mean, unless maybe we win a championship and there's all this and he's keeps going in the form that he is. But I just think we need to move forward in a Warbrick AKP combination. That sort of. I feel like it's the time to move. I feel like it's the time to move him on.
I will say, experience-wise, like when you're losing a Mitch, a Rog, Cape still hasn't recommitted. Like, there's a few players there that we could potentially lose. Yeah, whereas someone like Adele, who's huge off-field, might be really handy to have. But yeah, playing-wise, there are a few options there. Loffy, been unreal, and he was great again in this game. 2 tries. I love the finishing ability of both of our wingers. And again, we've mentioned for other teams, some of those are 50-50 chances. But with Dell and Loff, and the amount of work they do on finishing tries like that, those aren't 50-50. Those are 80-20. And I love watching games with people that are like, oh, did he score that? Not quite sure. And you know, before you see the replay, you can confidently say that both our wingers would have got the ball down perfectly without going out. Their aerial ability to put the ball down is second to none. And that first try Loffy scored, that was just a great example that speed kills, man, and not many wingers would have finished that. Basically off an error, which our defense forced, early shift, give the ball to Loff, and his speed allows him to beat 5 or 6 would-be defenders and go in under the post. They couldn't get a hand on him, and that is what Alofiana Camperera brings to this team, as well as a willingness to do the hard stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that try. I love that try. Just, it's something reminds me of what we haven't been having in recent years. We've talked often about the speed that he brings, but to see him actually just do a normal carry or a normal sort of side-to-side movement and then actually be able to burst through the gap, beat a couple of players and score under the posts, like against the runner play, not against the runner play, but when the defense,
it was first tackle, right?
Yeah, but
off when
the defense is sort of shifting and they're getting across, and you think the play's done, and then just to be able to absolutely blitz through the defense is impressive. So kind of was like, shit, that's what we've been missing. Like you can just pinpoint that, but he's been impressive.
Oh, he gives us something different, big time. Tamare Martin mentioned the 2 tries and 27 tackles. I think his work defensively is massive. Not many halves are getting through 27 tackles in games, so well done to him. I've grouped these 3, but Fish, Jacko Ford, Aaron Clark. I feel like I'm on repeat because you could highlight them every week. Fish with 60 minutes, though. This was a big stint for him. Went off with the HIA, so he got a free freshen up off the back of that. But 176 run meters, 75 PCMs, 47 tackles in 60 minutes. He was a monster. Aaron Clark, 66 minutes, bigger shift from him too. 155 run meters, 45 tackles, none missed. Jacko Ford, 80 minutes, spent a load of time on the edge, just to give a big up yours to Laurie Daly. 171 run meters, 48 tackles. Daryl Halligan was that impressed with him in the second row, post-game interview. He called him Jacob Preston, which I thought was an interesting one. Yeah. Jacko Ford was a little bit confused, didn't know how to answer it, but just kind of reference.
What did he say? I didn't see
He was more just like, I played a lot of second row tonight.
Did he mistakenly?
Yeah, he was like, Jacob Preston, second rower. How did you find it out there tonight? And it was like the second question of the interview.
Did he start with Jackson Ford?
I think he was like Jacko blah, blah, blah. And then he was like Jacob Preston, but that was really random because even if it was an Origin question, Preston's not an Origin.
No, and it's like the Bulldogs weren't playing.
And then for Chanel, he said something about Leilua from the Dragons.
Luciano.
Yeah, Luch. I almost called him Joey. Yeah, Luch.
You did call him Joey.
Joey Leilua. I used to love watching old BJ, but
Luciano.
Luch, yeah, and he mentioned him to Chanel. Bit weird, but those 3 in the middle give us a chance in every single game. And when you chuck a Mitch and a Capes back in that 4-pack, it is just devastating. I wanted to shout out Tanner Stiles Smith as well, who I saw got the internal man of the match, the Mahi Dog Award 45 minutes, 134 run meters off 12 runs, 31 tackles. Been out of action with a hamstring injury. Didn't get on last week because of Tanner Boyd's injury, so we had to adjust, and that ate up his interchange spot, bringing Tamaire on, but he had a huge impact. Fifth tackle, forward pack, kind of touched on it there, but we're just so relentless through the middle of the paddock. The meters we get, the ruck speed we generate through Aaron, through Fish, through Jacko, then bringing on a Tanner and a Demi, and that's without Mitch Barnett and Kurt Capewell in the mixer too. And Mitch, he'll have a massive impact through the middle. Then you look at Cup and Marata Neocortes out there. It's just so hard to stop our momentum, and it's relentless for the full 80. You hear our halves say how nice it is to play behind our forward pack, and you can see why. Momentum sucks in opposition defenses. All of a sudden, their spacing is cooked, right? Second rowers, they want to match up on their outside man. They want to be able to stretch the line and cover the width of the field. But as we're just denting them through the middle of the paddock, everyone has to naturally suck in, and that creates opportunities for Tamaire to ball play, to dummy off, catch a lazy defender there and go through. It opens up opportunities for Loffy, for Dell, for Tane out the back of shape to free up our outsides. It's just a chain effect. When you generate ruck speed and momentum like that through the middle, the opposition D-line is just done for, and what it also does is attract ruck infringements, six agains, other teams trying to slow down the play, and when you're defending, going backwards the whole time, it is just so fatiguing, and watching our full pack play is a beautiful thing, and it's the short passing too. It's not just brutal shit, like Demi almost put Fish in, which ended up in a try for Loffy, but some subtle little ball playing there. They're running nice lines, they can interchange, they can score tries as well, they can do it all. But when it comes time to, when Aaron Clark's like, nah, I'm not playing out the back here, I am carrying, it is just so direct. The intent is there. Fish is just setting the tone. We have the best forward pack in the comp, and I think we have the best bench in the comp too.
It's bold statements.
It's a bold statement.
It's bold statements.
And this weekend will be a great test of it.
I'm sort of with you. I wouldn't say...
I think man for man...
Yeah, I think we're definitely top three in both of those aspects.
You always...
I'm just bringing you down.
Yeah, you're always more measured.
I have to.
Yeah, or else I'll go off.
Otherwise,
I'll be planning a parade. Yeah.
Otherwise, in 6 months' time,
yeah.
When we lose the grand... If we lose the grand final, whoa.
Yeah.
Then there's going to be clips of you everywhere going, oh, the Warriors fans, they win early, they win early. So I'm just keeping you level.
Yeah.
But I do agree with everything you've just said about the forward pack. It's great to watch. It's our superpower. Like, it's exactly what is making us win games. Like, it's as simple as that. Our kicking wasn't great on the weekend, but our forward pack was just unreal. 18-point win. Yeah. I know it was the Dragons, but you see games like that, we absolutely dominated the Broncos. They couldn't live with us. So if we can continue that going into the finals and through this origin period without Mitch, without Capes, we're a chance.
Yeah, you mentioned the Broncos there. Like, if they complete at 70%, they don't win that game because they need a Reece Walsh, all that type of stuff. We've just got a blueprint at the moment. My last tackle, defense, and we missed a few on the weekend when you look at the stats, but when we did hit, we hit hard. And it was nice to see some big shots leading to tries over the last few weeks too. In this game, we had Tamaire Martin's tackle knocking the ball free. We shift it to Loffy, and he scores our first try of the game. We had defensive pressure on Val Holmes, led to him dropping the ball. Laban scooped it up. If only he had fed Dallin, then that was probably a length of the field try. We had Dell's try off an intercept. Ali shooting in, making a good shot, forcing him that quick pass. Dell picks it off, and he gets another try off the back of great line speed and everyone going together. I feel like we're moving up as one at the moment. If someone shoots, people are tracking in behind to mean that it doesn't lead to points. And we've said a lot that our defense has a big effect on our attack and vice versa. I feel like defensively we are putting pressure on teams all across the paddock. We have ability to force errors just through pure contact. Some of the shots coming in are massive. And we are just intimidating on both sides of the football. When you look at New South Wales Cup too, I don't know if you've seen the highlights from that one. I actually watched the full game. Micaiah Taufa, the young hooker, he looks pretty NRL ready now. His performances over the last few weeks have been huge. He was putting in massive shots on the Dragons' middles on the weekend. Jet Cleary putting in some big hits as well. It's across both teams.
It's good to see.
And Fish mentioned it in the post-game presser, which I'm sure you're about to touch on, but we want to be known as a team that prides itself on defence. And not only that, but it hits hard and it intimidates teams.
It's good to see about that cup as well, because that's where the depth's coming from when we talk about when injuries happen in the middle and how our depth is actually what's helping us win games. I think a big thing, like when Fish says in the press conference, he doesn't say much in the press conference. He looks sore, which is fair enough, but he doesn't often say much. And he goes, yeah, I think defensively the whole club just loves defending and values it a lot. So when he says that, I actually take that on board and go, shit, if he's saying that we're doing it well, he knows what it takes to win premierships, then I've got full faith in what we're doing. And you can see it every week. Yeah. I think the big thing for me is when we don't concede penalties on tackle 1, 2, and 3 inside the half, attacking half. We used to give away endless penalties, maybe 3 a game, just off stupid like offside penalties or head highs or piggybacks. Yeah. But we don't do that anymore. We're disciplined, we're strong, but we're not overplaying our hand. And I think that's probably the most impressive thing.
I think the best thing, and like the reporters are a little bit shocked by it too. They're like, wait, are you guys saying you enjoy defending?
Yeah, what?
Like, that's a test of fitness. It's a test of conditioning, but also like mentals. And yeah, not many teams do enjoy that side of the game. A lot of teams just want to play razzle-dazzle footy, but that separates the good from the bad. Look at the Panthers over the last few years. They've been a defensive juggernaut, and we've got a bit about us this year. So all eyes to this week, and I don't want to build it up too much, but I think it is going to be a great game. And if anything, pre the bye next week, it's an opportunity to empty the tank. Hopefully Mitch and Cape's back up because they've got the bye next week.
You think they will?
If they get through unscathed, I think Cape's definitely will. Mitch obviously has been battling a few injuries, but he is a guy that
he'll want to back up more than playing 85.
He will be the type of guy who's like, pride, this is a pride thing, this is a toughness thing, I am backing up. So I think if both get through, they will both back up, because then next week we have it off.
But they're in Sydney.
We're in Sydney.
That's the perfect draw.
Yeah, there's no travel
for it.
And it's a Sunday game off the back of a Wednesday. I think the NRL probably did it more with the Panthers in mind, but it's 100%. Actually worked out well for us. I just want to see us in the grind with the Panthers going at it. This is the 2 best teams. You'd probably chuck Manly in there as the 3rd hot team at the moment in the comp, and this is a great yardstick before our second bye, before this run home, to really get a good assessment of where we're at.
How many, I forgot what I was going to say.
It was going to be good though, was it?
Yeah. How many Panthers players do you think will back up?
I think all as well.
Okay.
I think it is now, and Mitch has spoken about this before now, it's become a pride thing where it's kind of, unless you're carrying an injury.
I guess it is Wednesday to Sunday, right?
Yeah, like we the Friday night ones will be the interesting one, Manly and Cronulla.
But Mitch did 2 years ago, didn't he? On the Friday night in Canberra?
Doesn't surprise me. Fuck, who would back up for a Friday night in Canberra? That is tough stuff.
I think they were in Sydney as well.
That is tough stuff. But yep, that's our 6 biggest takeaways from this game. Overall, bank the 2 points. 4-pack defense, really good. Lots of individuals stood up too. Can't wait for this weekend against the Panthers. Bring it on.
How good.